Hey guys, what's up? Today I wanted to hop into my review for Halloween Kills. Now, I saw this in theaters when it first came out, but I really wasn't sure what to think of it after my first viewing. So I ended up going back and watching it on Peacock a couple of days later, and now I've kind of got a better idea of how I actually feel about the movie. I wasn't in love with it, and I also didn't hate it. I see a lot of people on both sides of the spectrum. People saying it's the best Halloween movie ever, and that it's the worst Halloween movie ever, even worse than Resurrection and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and none of that is true. It is not the best Halloween movie, and it isn't the worst Halloween movie, so let's just get into my thoughts. At the start of the movie, we get an amazing flashback to Halloween 1978. Holy shit, this could not have been much more perfect than it was. The look, the atmosphere, the music, everything was so good in this flashback. I really think that this should have been in 2018, just so we could have saw the bridge in that movie, but the fact that we got it in this movie was so good. Getting to see younger Hawkins, who by the way was perfect casting for younger Hawkins. I don't think they could have found anyone better. He literally looks like a younger version of Will Patton. And he's a great actor too. I really liked him in that opening sequence. Just getting to see Michael in the original mask and getting to see Dr. Loomis, like that was amazing. And the fact that it was prosthetic and not CGI blew my mind. When I watched the movie, I thought for sure that that was CGI, but when I got out and I found out that it was prosthetic, I was like, I could not believe that it was prosthetic. The only minor complaint I would even make about Dr. Loomis is that a few of his lines didn't quite sound like Dr. Loomis, but everything else was perfect, like such a great job. And that final shot of Michael outside the Myers house with Loomis behind him and all the cops pointing to him, and it leads into the Halloween Kills opening title sequence, so good. And not to mention, that title sequence was amazing. All the burning pumpkins coming at the screen, and then that final pumpkin on fire coming towards you and melting. So good. I think I still prefer the rotten reviving pumpkin from Halloween 2018's opening title sequence, but I really like the Halloween Kills title sequence as well. We see a bunch of firefighters coming to Laurie's house to put out the fire that she set at the end of 2018, and showing Michael escaping and going head to head with all these firefighters was crazy. He fought 11 firefighters and killed them all. Like, that is nuts. That's really showing how strong Michael is in this movie compared to other movies. Like, we saw him kill the entire police department in Halloween 4. Well, we didn't see it happened off screen. But this time, we get to see the carnage, and it's crazy. Such a great way to show Michael's brutality.
You haven't got a police force?
We get to see what happens to Laurie. She gets taken to the hospital and gets operated on. She's in no condition to leave and go up against Michael this time around. So that's basically what we see Laurie doing for most of the movie. She's just in the hospital recovering, and she's talking to Officer Hawkins, who also survived Halloween 2018. I was sad when I thought he got killed in Halloween 2018, so it's really nice to see him survive into Halloween Kills. There's a sequence with an older couple, and she's flying a drone around inside her house, and it crashes, and then Michael throws it back at them. I actually like most of this scene. It's really cool seeing Michael go up against these two older people for once. He completely decimates them, which is to be expected. However, I feel like the scene could have gone on a little bit less than it did. I think it was cool getting to see him like set the guy up on the table and stab him a few times, but I feel like it was just like edging into like Rob Zombie territory there, and I don't think that's what these movies need. The next scene I actually really liked was when the car full of Marion and Lindsay and the other two pull over at the playground to help the kids. Lindsay rushes over to help the kids and is telling them like, "What are you doing here? You need to leave." It reminded me so much of Laurie telling Lindsay and Tommy that they need to get out of there in the Halloween 78. So it was nice seeing Lindsay kind of fill that protector role that Laurie had in 1978. And then we get Michael playing peekaboo with the kids, and he shows up holding like the mask of one of the kids that he killed, and that they're all wearing silver shamrock masks from Halloween 3. So that is a really great reference to Halloween 3. And they were also in Halloween 2018 for a quick second, so it's a nice throwback to that. Nice connection there. But yeah, Michael shows up, he brutally kills Marion and the other two that are sitting in the back seat, and then Lindsay goes after him with this bag of bricks. Love how strong Lindsay is in this movie and that she actually gets away from Michael. One of the few characters in this movie to actually survive an encounter with Michael, so shout out to Queen Lindsay there. Eventually, Tommy shows up at the playground. He finds the bodies of Marion and the two nurse doctor characters. Super brutal, and I love that Michael put the Halloween 3 masks on them and then propped them up. Such classic Michael there, and some more throwbacks to Halloween 3, which is a really great movie that you should give another chance if you haven't. We end up finding out that Lindsay is alive, except really hurt, so they end up taking her to the hospital. And this is the last time we see Lindsay for the entire movie. She just kind of disappears. It's not the end of the world because obviously she's going to come back and Halloween ends. However, I really think that she needed a scene with Laurie after she got to the hospital just to have them talk and interact a little bit, and then she could have left the movie. We needed a little bit more of Queen Lindsay. We're also introduced to this couple, Big John, Little John, who I actually thought were pretty great in this movie. It's great to see some gay representation in these films where previously we haven't really seen much of that. I saw a lot of people saying that they were like a bad stereotype of gay people, and I'll tell you this for free. Those two were some of the most accurate representation of a gay couple you are gonna see on film. I like that they actually bought the Myers house and like reworked it and are living there and they're not afraid at all. I think that's really cool and definitely accurate for those kind of characters. However, I think they might have got maybe just a tad too much screen time. And also I think that Little John from Mad TV, he plays Stuart. I found it really hard to take him seriously just because of his Mad TV roles. But if I put that aside, I think he actually did a pretty good job. Big John's death was so brutal. Getting stabbed up underneath the arm and then getting his eyes gouged out to the point that his eyes popped out, and then Michael had his like thumbs in his brain. So brutal. And then after he kills both of them, he props up their bodies just like it is in one of their like family photos. Loved that, but I did feel bad for Big John and Little John. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, we have like Karen lying to Laurie, who thinks that Michael actually burned in the house from 2018. She just doesn't want to tell Laurie because she knows if Laurie finds out, she's going to hop out of the hospital bed and go straight after Michael, which is exactly what Laurie tries to do when she finds out that Michael didn't die. We also get some really great scenes between Laurie and Hawkins. You find out that they had a little bit of flirtation going on in the past, and I actually really like that. I could definitely see those two characters being together or having some sort of relationship in the 4 years between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. I'm totally down for that because Laurie has had a miserable life and she deserves a little bit of happiness before Halloween Ends comes around, especially after what happens to her daughter at the end of this movie. My biggest dislike of the entire movie is the sequence about halfway through when the bus escapee from the beginning of 2018, who's holding the umbrella, is being chased around the hospital and everybody thinks he's Michael Myers. That entire sequence felt like total filler to me. It just felt like it was wasting time and did not need to be in the movie at all. I think if they had cut that out and added an extra 10 minutes onto the end of the movie, it would have serviced the movie a lot better than the mob violence bus escapee plotline that they were trying to go for. I understand the politics behind it and what they were trying to do, but I just find it fell really flat. And actually the one good thing I'll say about that is when the bus guy actually jumps and it splatters on the ground. Super gruesome and gory. Really like that kill. Felt bad for him, but really great kill. This causes Karen to be like, this isn't enough. We're doing stupid shit here. We have to go after Michael. She talks to Tommy, who also feels like he's not doing enough, so they get in his car and go looking for trouble. That's my second complaint. Tommy was super annoying throughout the entire movie. I did not like his character at all in Halloween Kills. Paul Rudd from Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, was such a better Tommy, and it's not even close. I was so happy that at the end of Halloween Kills that Tommy finally got what was coming to him, because he was asking for it the entire movie. They eventually realize that Michael is on his way to the Myers house and that the path he's been taking is leading straight to that. Cameron, Allison, and Lonnie all end up driving to the Myers house. Lonnie tells Allison and Cameron to wait in the car, and he goes in and gets absolutely destroyed. You don't end up seeing exactly what happens to Lonnie, but he gets shoved up into the attic stairs, very similar to a kill from Halloween Resurrection that takes place in the same spot. Well, actually, the kill takes place somewhere else, but the body is shoved into the stairs, just like in Halloween Kills. I don't know if that was a nod to Resurrection, but I did like it. After Lonnie's gunshot, Allison and Cameron end up rushing into the house. They end up finding Little John and Big John's dead bodies, and then Cameron gets grabbed by Michael, and holy crap, Cameron gets absolutely destroyed. Just several stab wounds right to the gut. His head smashed to the wooden banister and brought up and down onto the sharp parts of the wood. And then if that's not enough, as Michael starts coming down the stairs to get Allison, who had just fallen and hurt her leg, he grabs Cameron's head and just completely snaps his neck. Like, so brutal. Feel really bad for Cameron and Allison there, because at this point, she's lost her father, she's lost her boyfriend, and at the end of this movie, she's going to lose a little bit more. So poor Allison after the events of these two movies. She's gone through so much more than Laurie has without having Halloween 2 involved in this timeline. Just feels so bad for Allison. So Michael ends up coming down the stairs, grabs Allison. It looks like he's about to kill her. And here comes Karen from behind with a pitchfork. She stabs Michael, gets him down, and then gives him a good curb stomp right on the stairs. Like, really gives him a good kick to the neck. Seems like Michael's down, but he's definitely not. She ends up grabbing Michael's mask and pulling it off his head and lures him out of the house away from Allison over to one street over. She ends up dropping the mask on the ground, and when Michael finds it, he gets completely surrounded by the mob, and they're all ready to kick some ass. So they start beating him, stabbing him, shooting him at point blank range to the point where Michael falls to the ground. And Karen comes up and shoves a knife right into his back. So much damage, and it looks like Michael is finally put down for good. Tommy tells Karen to leave and to go back with Allison and make sure everything's okay. They got this handled. So she leaves, and Michael ends up getting back up. And at this point, it's pretty damn clear that Michael is supernatural. I don't care what anyone says, what David Gordon Green says himself. Michael is supernatural after this movie. There is just no way to deny it. No one could take the amount of damage he took and get back up. Like, maybe they would live, but they sure as shit would not get back up and act like nothing just happened to them. Like, Michael is full force supernatural this time around. But yeah, he gets up and the mob around him looks stunned, and he just starts going to work. He absolutely destroys everyone in these quick little glimpses of slashing one person and stabbing another. Really like the artistic style they went with there. And then Tommy just looks horrified, like he knows, like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? And this is honestly the best and worst part of Tommy for this movie, because finally, the annoying Tommy is put to rest. Michael stabs the shit of him and then beats his head open with his own baseball bat. Super gruesome, but honestly, by this point, Tommy deserved it. He was being the stupidest character in the whole movie, making the worst possible decisions, putting himself right in harm's way, and then at the end, when he could have left or ran away when all the mob was dead, he went right in and got himself killed, just like everybody else, and it was just such a disappointing return for such a big character from Halloween 78. There was also some weird leaps in logic that didn't really make sense to me, like the entire mob is getting absolutely butchered by Michael just like one street over from the Myers house where there's people, and absolutely nobody hears it. I don't buy that for a second. There's like 10 people that are getting absolutely destroyed. Meanwhile, one street over, there's people at the Myers house, and not one person notices it at all. Not only that, but after he kills the entire mob, he somehow makes it past the like 200 people that are outside of the Myers house and gets back inside completely undetected. I found that was a little bit silly. Like, I can believe Michael moving around undetected, but that entire house was swarmed with people. I just don't see how he would get over there completely unannounced, or why he would go unannounced after just butchering like 10 people in the middle of the street. We have Karen and Allison sitting out front on the steps of the Myers house. Karen is comforting Allison, and then she looks up at the window and she sees a figure, like a younger Michael in the window. I don't know if this is somehow like Michael's curse, like affecting Karen in some way, or just because she's encountered him so closely that it's starting to mess with her. But Karen ends up leaving Allison. She goes inside the house, up the stairs, and into Judith's room to stare out the window. And then as she starts staring out the window, Michael pops out from behind her and stabs Karen to death in a shocking end to the movie. Like, holy crap, I gotta say, I did not expect Karen to die last second like that. I figured she would either die some point around the end of Kills, and if not, she would die at the very beginning of Ends in like a reference to Rachel, Laurie, and Jamie's death from the other Halloween movies. But no, she gets super stabbed and killed right in the final sequence, and we end with Laurie in the hospital staring out her window. So good, such a shocking way to end this movie. Even though this movie has some flaws like the bus escapee sequence and the mob violence stuff, overall it was so good, and that ending was such a great way to leave things off before Halloween Ends next year. I also found that while I enjoyed that there were a lot of characters that returned from Halloween 78, a lot of them were really underutilized or just like brought back to be killed off, which I didn't really like. Sheriff Brackett and Marion specifically. Marion is literally just a body in this movie. She might as well not even be in it at all. And Sheriff Brackett, while he does do a little bit here and there, he basically just shows up to die, and I feel like he should have got some semblance of revenge for Annie, his daughter that died in Halloween 78. However, he ends up just getting completely butchered, and I don't know if it was necessary to bring certain characters back just to have them be absolutely destroyed without having done anything. Like I said, Marion came back basically just to be a dead body, and I loved her so much more in H2O. She came off as this really strong, badass character, even though Michael still got her in that one. In this one, she just kind of came across as a joke, and that's not really what I was looking for out of my returning characters. I'm very curious to see how exactly they're going to explain Michael not being around for 4 years between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, because we're going to get a 4-year time jump, and it's going to be post-COVID. So I'm really curious to see how they explain Michael being gone for 4 years. Will they catch him at the beginning of Ends and lock him up, and then he's going to break out after 4 years? I feel like that would be really dumb. And if he's also just like gone and not around for 4 years, that's going to be dumb too. So they need a really damn good reason for a 4-year time skip after Halloween Kills. Personally, I think Halloween Ends should just take place the same night as Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. But I'm very curious to see how they're going to pull this all off in Ends. So all in all, I actually really had a good time with Halloween Kills on the second viewing. The first viewing, I was really lost. I had no idea what to think because I think I had really high expectations, almost too high expectations for the movie. So after sitting down and getting to watch it a second time, knowing what's going to happen, I actually had a much better experience, and even the bus escapee mob violence stuff didn't bother me as much the second time around. I think it's going to be one of those Halloween movies that really grows on you with each watch. There's just so many things in it to love, and that score, I know I didn't mention this in my earlier parts of the review, but that score, all the music throughout the whole movie was top notch. That new Halloween Kills theme is amazing. I must have listened to it 100 times by now. And just all the score throughout the entire movie, even better than 2018, I've got to say. It was really, really, really good. It's a nice bridging episode between Halloween 2018 and Halloween Ends. And that's what some people need to realize. This is the middle of the story, so it was never going to be tied up in a nice little bow. I like that we get a Halloween movie, kind of like Halloween 5, where Michael's still on the loose and he could attack at any second, so I do like that cliffhanger. As for characters, I loved Laurie Strode, even though we didn't get that much of her. She really is coming to the realization in this movie that Michael is supernatural, and with each kill he just transcends into more and more evil than he was before. I really like that, even though we really got so little of Laurie in this movie. There's not much more she could have done, especially seeing as how Halloween Ends is basically going to be all about her and Michael. I'm fine with this one not being as much about Laurie, especially where she doesn't die like in Resurrection, so I'm very happy that Laurie managed to pull it out in this movie. Karen, I also actually like. She's still a little bit of a stickler and kind of annoying, but you can tell in this one she really realizes that Laurie was valid in her feelings these last 40 years, especially after all the stuff they just went through, and the fact that she takes it upon herself to go out and save Allison and try to finish off Michael for not only just Allison but for Laurie too is really great, even though she ends up getting completely butchered at the end of the movie. I did like that turn in character where she wasn't going to take it anymore and she just wanted to save her family. Allison I also really liked, but she had surprisingly little screen time in this movie. It felt like she was just kind of there, and then she did some stuff at the end, but I was surprised at how little of a role Allison really had in this movie. However, the actress does an amazing job as usual. I absolutely love her. She was really great in Halloween 2018, and she did a really great job in Kills, and I'm super excited to see her in Ends. All three of the Strode women were really great, and I couldn't have liked them much more than I actually did. Another really great character is Queen Lindsay Wallace. She really surprised me in this movie. I didn't think I would like her quite as much as I did. I was literally like praying that she didn't get killed by Michael, so I'm really glad that she was the smart one. She managed to hide and get away from him, and that she's going to survive into Halloween Ends. David Gordon Green has already confirmed that Lindsay is going to be in Halloween Ends, so I'm just praying. Out of everybody that dies in Halloween Ends, which I also think Laurie Strode is going to have to die in that movie. I don't want her to, but I think she's going to. I actually want Lindsay to be the one returning character from Halloween 78 to survive all of these movies. I feel like at least one needs to survive, and who better than one of Laurie's kids that she was babysitting in the original. I think that would be a perfect way to end this trilogy. Her and Allison surviving. Tommy, I already said this earlier, but I didn't like his character at all. He came across as a big doofus, doing the stupidest possible things and just reacting instead of thinking about what the best thing would be to do. Total throwaway character for me, and I'm honestly glad he's not going to be in Halloween Ends. Officer Hawkins, I really loved him. I mentioned it earlier, but it was really great to see him in this movie after thinking he was dead in Halloween 2018. He was a really great part of Halloween 2018, and it's great that he's going to continue on into Halloween Ends. Even if I came out of this movie with some like minor disappointments, it's got me super hyped for Halloween Ends next year. Only way I'd be more excited is if they added in John Tate and Jamie Lloyd, and there's no way to fit them in without things being stupid, so I'm perfectly happy with the timeline they're going with. So what did you think of Halloween Kills? Let me know in the comment section down below, and let me know what your favorite kill in the entire movie was, and let me know what your ranking of the Halloween franchise is, because I'm very curious to see where you guys place Halloween Kills amongst the other Halloween movies. Alright, until the next one, have a good one.